This is session 15. Let's talk about pornography and violent videos. You say, well, this is, you're getting away from witchcraft. I want to talk about cursed objects. Because you bring this stuff into your house, and it brings curses into your life. As you guys know, children are more and more exposed to pornography at a younger and younger age. Some now as young as 8, even younger. And the other thing that's really big among young people and teenagers is violent videos. I went over to the home of a Christian man. He invited me in, and he was definitely a believer, and his kids were in church with him. And as I walked in, they had this setup. I mean, it was set up. They spent thousands of dollars on this. They had giant TV screens, multiple next to each other, with all the electronics underneath. And they were playing these games. They were internet games where they would fight with other people from other countries, and you'd have and they had all the headgear, and you had the gun thing that they would use to shoot at each other. And as I was watching as they were playing, and those kids were like, hers 2 boys were totally into it, and they were like shooting people and blowing them up, blood and everything was flying everywhere. And I said, man, look at what your sons are being subjected to, what they're seeing, what they're imagining here with these videos. And I said, man, it's just like, man, you can't have this kind of stuff in your house. There was a gentleman in our church, and his dad got sick. He was a veteran. He was at the VA hospital, and when I went to go visit him, we ended up, this man, who was a Christian, and we led him to the Lord. He ended up dying about 10 days later. I don't know how much of it took, but he acknowledged his need of the Lord and confessed, and so we just have to trust by faith that he received the Lord. But 10 days later, he ended up passing away. I did the funeral for them, and so I went to go help him sort out stuff at his house, at his dad's house. And he says, I don't think you want to come over here. And I go, why not? He goes, because my dad had about 40 or 50 years worth of pornography in his house. He rented one of those bins, like the throwaway construction materials, one of those large bins. He literally filled it all up with pornographic magazines. He had it in the closet, he had it in the garage, he had it in the bedrooms, he had it under the bed. And I didn't go in. I mean, it wasn't like I was afraid to go in there or anything, but I just didn't go in there. I go, okay, well, he goes, me and my family, we're going to have to take care of this. He goes, my dad was so immersed in pornography his whole life. And then he began to tell me all the stuff that he did with the kids and with his wife, and all the violence and craziness and all the craziness he had to endure. And I knew some of his background. This is my first time of having go to the house and having met his dad there in the hospital. And but he told me later, they filled up that whole bin with pornographic materials and videos and magazines. And he says, when people who were in our family went back into that house, like they could breathe again. They said there was a heavy spirit that we didn't even know we were living in because of all the pornography that was there and that was represented there. And so this is for real. He says, I could actually breathe. It's like the lights came on to our house for the first time from all the pornography that we had. I remember, and this is a story related to somebody here in our church, when I found out about it, I knew something definitely was demonic there. And the man had hit his mother with a 2x4 in the face. And I go, man, that's not good. So we met here in the church parking lot, went with the lady and her husband, and we went out to where the house was, and we walked into the house. And the room, I think, was, if I remember right, it was on the right, and we walked in. And the minute you walked in, it was this suffocating heaviness was in this room. The curtains were closed. It felt like you almost went to gasp for air. But I remember before we went, we had loaded up back in that time one of those little boombox things. And I go, let's bring some worship CDs. So we had some worship CDs, and we went into that room. And I don't remember the exact amount of time, but I'm thinking about an hour and a half. We worshiped in that room for about 90 minutes. And when we were done, the whole heaviness that was there lifted off that room. And so we found out that he had his computer was full of pornography. He had all these cop killing videos. He had just terrible videos that I found out later the family ended up burning. He had gone to jail for what he had done. So they ended up burning it in the backyard. And I heard that this lady, when she would go pray at that house, she would hear screeching, nails screeching on the walls of that house. So bringing in this violent stuff and pornographic stuff into your home is an oppressive thing. And so we need to destroy all pornography. And of course today it's almost all digital. And but a lot of people still have videos. I was at somebody's house the other day, and I am not exaggerating, they probably had 1,000 videos in their house. And I didn't go to look at all of them, but I can imagine there was some pretty bad ones. Pornography is a terrible spiritual killer. And no Christian who is watching pornography is walking with God. There's no way. You can't be doing it. Video games, violent video games. Don't let your kids play these games where they're killing people and shooting people up. You're allowing all that stuff to get into their spirit. It's subjecting them to that. I remember when Ted Bundy, you can watch the interview, it's on YouTube, the night before he was executed. If you remember, James Dobson from Focus on the Family interviewed him. I mean, that was an eerie video to see James Dobson talking to Ted Bundy, because supposedly Bundy had given his heart to the Lord. And I don't know if he did. Watching the video, I couldn't really tell whether he had really made a profession for Christ, but they said that he did. And that's why Dr. Dobson went in to talk to him. And while they're sitting, talking back and forth, they said, "Where did it start for you? Where did it all begin?" He said, "I immersed myself as a young man in pornography." He goes, "When I got involved with pornography, that's when I started going out, and he started abusing and killing women." And God, they don't even know how many women he killed. They had a number, but they were thinking it was a lot more. But watching these violent videos, your kids are being subjected to very terrible things into their spirit. And you bring all that stuff into your home, and we have to just concern ourselves that these cursed objects are coming into our house. So we are to destroy, throw away any of these things that are bringing violence into the home. And if you have any kind of pornography right now in your computer, you need to get rid of all of it right now in the name of Jesus, because so many people have all these pornographic images on their computers. And it's a curse that it's terrible. It's just a terrible thing. In the next session, let's talk about 1 Samuel 28. We're going to look at King Saul and the witch at Endor.